Hello, and welcome to my Pokémon LeafGreen Wedlocke. For those of you who are not already familiar with the rules of the Wedlocke Challenge, you can go to my previous video, episode 0, for an introduction and in-depth explanation of the rules of the Wedlocke. But for the rest of you, I wanted to mention a couple optional restrictions that some people like to add to their challenges, and I figured I'd address them before I get started. The first restriction that a lot of people like to use is to impose an item limit in battle, to limit the amount of healing items that they use in battle, or to limit the amount of times that they can visit a Pokemon Center to heal. I'm not going to be using that restriction because I think that the restrictions I already have in place from the Wedlocke Challenge make things difficult enough. The second restriction is setting the battle mode to set versus shift, which essentially means you don't get your free switch in between trainers' Pokemon. I'm not going to be doing that either. I'm going to be staying in shift mode because, again, I think the Wedlocke Challenge is challenging enough. It already restricts which Pokemon I can switch in for, so I don't think I need to use set mode in this playthrough. The third restriction, however, is something I will be using, and it's imposing a level limit. This is basically so you can't just level grind until you're way over-leveled ahead of everything to make dying almost impossible for your Pokemon. So I'm going to be basing this level limit off of the highest leveled Pokemon of the next upcoming gym leader. And then when we get to the Elite Four and the Champion, I'll have to figure out where to base my level limit off of, but it definitely won't be higher than the Champion's Pokemon. Alright, so let's get started with the Wedlocke Challenge. Here you see one of the things that Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were notorious for were having tutorials. And it is very annoying in the beginning, I have to admit, but it gets better. It's just for the beginning, and then the rest of the things are optional. But I really do like these games, in spite of all that. Hello there! Glad to meet you! Welcome to the world of Pokemon! My name is Oak. People affectionately refer to me as the Pokemon Professor. This world is inhabited far and wide by creatures called Pokemon. For some people, Pokemon are pets. Others use them for battling. As for myself, I study Pokemon as a profession. But first, tell me a little about yourself. Now tell me, are you a boy or are you a girl? Infamous Professor Oak question. Can't tell whether I'm a boy or a girl. I'm going to be going with the female character. And, you know, in some of these playthroughs, I might decide to change up the character a little bit, give them, you know, come up with a character name and a whole original personality for them. But for this first playthrough, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to name her Banana after my channel name. And it's kind of my go-to name. I either use my own name or I use Banana in most games that I play through, so I'll just go with Banana. Right, so your name is Banana? Indeed, Professor Oak. This is my grandson. He's been your rival since you both were babies. What was his name now? Professor Oak, you're getting senile. Okay, so I was looking at what to name my rival, and I figured that since my character's name, Banana, was based off of a fruit, that I might as well pick an interesting fruit name to name my rival after. And after doing some research, I decided to go with Durian. First of all, Durian seems like it almost could be a person's name, I guess. But also, if you look at what a durian looks like, it has sort of a hard, I don't know if it's the shell or the skin, but it's really spiny. And I think that kind of fits, you know, your rival's hair in this game. It's kind of spiky, and he sort of has a harsh, prickly personality, if you know what I mean, so I think Durian is a pretty appropriate name, so let's go with that. Was it Durian? That's right, I remember now. His name is Durian. Banana. Your very own Pokémon legend is about to unfold. A world of dreams and adventures with Pokémon awaits. Let's go! So something else interesting about the female trainer character from Fire Red and Leaf Green, when I first got into Pokémon, when Pokémon Red and Blue first came out, I was getting into the anime and I read some of the manga and I decided to write some Pokémon comics. And the very first ones that I drew, I made a trainer character and I based her off of myself. And at the time, I gave her long brown hair because that's what my hair looked like. And I had her wear a blue shirt because that was my favorite color. And I also had her wear like a little bucket hat that kind of had a Pokeball symbol on it. And so lo and behold, when Fire Red and Leaf Green come out, there you go, there's a trainer character with long brown hair and a blue shirt and a bucket hat with not quite a Pokeball symbol, but still, it was kind of uncanny and it was kind of cool. It made me really like this character's design. Before I do anything else, let me switch the text speed on to fast and go through these frames. I think I like the blue frame, so we'll go with that. And now a little spoiler for this decades-old game. Go to the PC right at the beginning of the game and you'll get a free potion. Could come in handy against our rival, our first rival battle, which is coming up soon. Let's talk to Mom. Right, all girls dream of traveling. It said so on TV. Oh yes, Professor Oak next door was looking for you. Okay, so I could go next door and check for Professor Oak, but I know he's not going to be there. I could check in his lab, but I know he's not going to be there, so let's just get this thing started and walk out onto Route 1. Hey, wait! Don't go out! It's unsafe. Wild Pokémon live in tall grass. You need your own Pokémon for your protection. I know. Here, come with me. Yeah, so dangerous, all those level 2 Pidgey and Rattata. I don't know, I guess in real life you wouldn't want to meet a real rat or bird that was that big. Gramps, I'm fed up with waiting. Durian? Let me think. Oh, that's right, I told you to come. Just wait. Here, Banana. There are 3 Pokémon here. Haha. The Pokémon are held inside these Pokéballs. When I was young, I was a serious Pokémon trainer. But now, in my old age, I only have these 3 left. You can have one. Go on, choose. Hey, Gramps, no fair! What about me? Be patient, Durian. You can have one too. Okay, time to pick our first Pokémon. So, the choices here, we have Bulbasaur, the grass type, Squirtle, the water type, and Charmander, the fire type. So, I know that generally speaking, Charmander is everybody's favorite choice and Squirtle is everybody's second favorite choice, but I'm going to go with my favorite choice, which is Bulbasaur. Partially for nostalgic reasons, Bulbasaur was my very first starter Pokemon, the very first time I played Blue version. And I picked him at the time because he was, I think, the first starter Pokemon I had seen, because before I ever got the games, I watched a couple episodes of the Pokemon anime, and one of the first episodes I saw was Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden. So that made him instantly recognizable to me. And I also liked the fact that he has Soar in his name, and so I was into dinosaurs at the time, so I thought, oh cool, it's a little blue dinosaur. And also I just thought, oh, he's Pokédex number 1. Pokédex number 1, so he's important. So I don't know, so I picked Bulbasaur, my first Pokemon, and it was good. I mean, I've loved Bulbasaur ever since. Also, for the purposes of this Wedlocke challenge, Bulbasaur is going to be useful in the early stages, especially going through Viridian Forest, because Bulbasaur is part poison type, so it can't be poisoned, which just would really save me a lot of hassle on having to worry about buying a lot of antidotes. And I see that I've been lucky enough to get a female Bulbasaur. It's not really a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just, you know, you only have like a 12.5% chance of getting a female starter Pokemon, so it's kind of noteworthy. Alright, so I'm going to nickname her, and I'm going to go with the very first nickname I gave to my very first Bulbasaur, which was the very original name, Bulby. It's a cute little endearing name. Like I said, not very original, but it's got nostalgic meaning for me. I don't know if I'm going to go with a nicknaming theme. I know a lot of people like to do that in these sort of challenges, but right now I'm just gonna name them whatever I feel like. I mean, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have sort of a little nostalgic meaning to give to all my Pokemon's names, like with Bulby. Okay, so we got our female Bulby. It's timid. I believe that raises speed and lowers physical attack, which that won't be great for this first battle because all she has is a physical attack. But later on, that won't be too bad because mostly be relying on special attacks, grass-type attacks, because in this generation, physical and special attacks are based on the Pokemon's type. So, this is the moment of truth, the very first Pokemon battle against our rival. We have the potion, so let's see what we can do. Wait, Banana, let's check out our Pokemon. Come on, I'll take you on. Here we go. Against Durian. Oh, for Pete's sake, so pushy as always. Banana, you've never had a Pokemon battle before, have you? Actually, I have, but pretend I haven't, and tell me what to do. A Pokemon battle is when trainers pit their Pokemon against each other. The trainer that makes the other trainer's Pokemon faint by lowering their HP to 0 wins. Okay, so yeah, here is the annoying-ish part of this game, and that's the little tutorial that happens at the beginning. Professor Oak basically has something to say for every possible thing that could happen. And while it is kind of useful, I guess, if you've never played a Pokemon game before and maybe you're a little younger, it is a little bit unnecessary for those of us who have played the game so many times before. Okay, good thing I have that potion. Ah, come on, Oak. I know what I'm doing, that's why I'm even using the potion in the first place. You know, Oak, I was gonna say how the tutorials are kind of annoying, but they don't really bother me. But no, you're not proving my point for me. No, but really, in spite of everything, I mean, there is a little bit heavy in the tutorials, especially at the beginning, but I just have such great nostalgia for these games because when they came out, it was just so cool to have remakes of, you know, my first experience playing Pokemon, but having it on the Game Boy Advance, which at the time was the most advanced system, no pun intended. Okay, I'll make my Pokemon battle to toughen it up. Banana, Gramps, smell you later! Oh yeah, that's something interesting, a little Easter egg for those of you who haven't played Pokemon X and Y, or even if you have. If there's one of the Pokemon centers in, I forget which city, but if you talk to a person in the Pokemon Center, she mentions how Professor Oak's grandson came to study abroad in Kalos, and she says something like, he got his bonjour down pat, but he kept saying smell you later when he left. So I thought that was a nice little Easter egg. And actually, I played through Pokemon Y in Italian at one point, and there wasn't any reference like that. So I guess that's just, you know, especially for the US players, or the players of the English-speaking games. Because I guess he didn't have a little catchphrase like that in Italian. Okay, so getting on to Route 1. Oh, right, before I encounter any wild Pokemon, I should mention that I do not currently have a Pokedex or Pokeballs, so I am not yet able to catch Pokemon. So what I'm gonna do, until I get Pokeballs, I'm not going to count any encounters here as my first encounter. So, basically because I can't do anything about it to catch the Pokemon. So I think it's fair to say that I'll just go along here and whatever I battle, but then once I get back to Pallet Town and get Pokeballs, then I will start the Wedlocke challenge as far as counting my encounters. So any encounters that I find on this route this time around are not going to count. So for example, I run into a wild Rattata, and this does not count against my encounters. So I don't have to worry about when I get back to Pallet Town and start back again, I can still catch my encounter here. Okay, so another little secret here. There's another free potion. Talk to this guy. Free potion. That's always good. Need all the free items you can get. One thing about Red and Blue and Fire Red and Leaf Green is it's not a really bad difficulty curve in the beginning, but I always remember it feeling like a lot of grinding and a lot of backtracking as you try to make it through Viridian Forest. And we'll see how we do this time around, because I can't really overlevel my Pokemon because of my level limit. But anyway, let's heal up real quick. Welcome to our Pokemon Center. Would you like me to heal your Pokemon back to perfect health? Sure. Okay, I'll take your Pokemon for a few seconds. Thank you for waiting. We've restored your Pokemon to full health. We hope to see you again. Yes, you hope that my Pokemon get injured again. Thanks. That's what we like to refer to as a backhanded compliment. I guess they have to keep business somehow. Although I don't know how Pokemon centers stay in business. They're giving all their treatment away for free. It's like there must be like just magic money falling out of the sky. Or maybe they're just all funded by Meowth using Payday. I guess that would be a good way to explain where all that money comes from. Hey, you came from Pallet Town? You know Professor Oak, right? His order came in. Can I get you to take it to him? Yes, so we have to, before we can start out on our journey, we have to do this mystery errand and take this strange parcel to Professor Oak. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's something that's never really referenced again, but I guess it's just to get you used to the idea of traveling back and forth between towns. So I'm going to take this route over all these little ledges to get back to Pallet Town, just so I can avoid too many encounters. Again, since I can't really overlevel anyway, I don't want to... Since I can't overlevel anyway, I don't want to get too many battles in. Okay, back in Pallet Town. Let's go see Professor Oak. Oh, Banana! How is my old Pokemon? Well, it seems to be growing more attached to you. You must be talented as a Pokemon trainer. What's that? You have something for me? Yes, your mystery parcel, whatever it is. Ah, it's the custom Pokeball. I had it on order, thank you. I don't know what kind of custom Pokeball. Maybe he had something ordered from Kurt all the way in Johto. Gramps! I almost forgot. What did you call me for? Oh, right. I have a request for you two. On the desk there is my invention, the Pokédex. It automatically records data on Pokémon you've seen or caught. It's a high-tech encyclopedia. Banana and Durian, take these with you. You can't get detailed data on Pokémon by just seeing them. You must catch them to obtain complete data. So here are some tools for catching wild Pokémon. Alright, now we have Pokeballs, and so now our encounter rule for the Wedlocke can begin. When a wild Pokémon appears, it's fair game. Just throw a Pokeball at it and try to catch it. This won't always work, however. A healthy Pokémon can escape. You have to be lucky. To make a complete guide on all the Pokémon in the world. That was my dream. But I'm too old, I can't get the job done. So I want you two to fulfill my dream for me. Get moving, you two. Yeah, it's not really going to happen because of my Wedlocke restrictions. I'll be lucky to get a decent chunk of Pokemon. But I always thought it was interesting, and there's actually a meme about this, that Professor Oak spent his whole life studying Pokemon and spent all this time developing a high-tech encyclopedia that can record data on Pokemon. And when he gives it to you, it's totally blank. Makes you wonder what he's been doing all these years. But maybe he spent all that time just creating the mechanism to collect data on Pokemon. So he spent more time creating the device than actually doing anything else. Okay, so before we go, we have to get the town map from our rival's sister, Daisy. I think she was always called Daisy, like, canonically, like she appeared in Red and Blue, but I don't think they ever mentioned her by name. Except maybe it was in like the little manual. I don't remember for sure. I just remember somehow I knew that her name was Daisy, but it was never explicitly mentioned in the games. And so I was looking, I did some research on this game because I didn't remember when you get the running shoes, because I remember in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, your mom gives them to you, I believe. But in Fire Red and Leaf Green, unfortunately, I don't get them until a bit later, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. But anyway, now we can begin the Wedlocke challenge for real, starting out on our adventure. What will my first encounter be? Well, you'll just have to wait until next time, because I'm gonna leave you on a cliffhanger. Alright guys, see you next time on my Pokemon LeafGreen Wedlocke challenge.